Music Matters. Ellie Williams.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. What's new? How have you been?
I've been good. I just moved to a new apartment and just graduated college. So I'm kind of adjusting to real life and doing that with some friends of mine. So I've been good. It's a lot of adjustments for sure. But overall, good time.
When did you graduate?
I graduated this past May.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was like a big, I've noticed that since I moved here, there is like a really big music scene around USC.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like everybody that I met was either like from, like they either went to USC or they went to music school on the East Coast somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's Berklee College of Music in Boston, and then USC has like a really great pop music program. So a lot of the people that I work with now and like write with are from USC or from Berklee, like that had recently moved to LA. But yeah, huge music community around USC, and also I feel like everyone kind of migrates after graduation to the east side as well.
Interesting.
So there's a huge music scene on the east side.
The east side being like Silver Lake, Echo Park, all that?
Yes, exactly. And like still in Century City too, like that kind of area, or like Studio City. But like I feel like younger creatives, huge scene.
There was like, I remember when I first like I started researching like about moving to LA when I was like 18 or 19 or whatever. That was like what kept coming up for me. It was like me looking at like Echo Park and like Silver Lake and like those places, because I don't know what it was, but like I think it's around the time I was moving as well. There was like this very vibrant young community of artists and musicians and filmmakers and all kinds of people around there. But I feel like that was because it was cheap for a while, and then it got really expensive.
Yeah. So I did in like I'm from Kansas originally, and I moved out to LA my freshman year of high school. And
you were saying that you recognized Frank Sativa because he was,
yes,
that's so crazy.
He's from Wichita, which I have been to so many times. But yeah, so I
love that. That's such a good job. That's like my favorite thing in the world.
It's actually crazy, because also going through his Instagram and stuff and like looking at different photos, I'm like, I know where that is. Like, I have been there.
That's how I feel about Bay Area musicians too.
Yeah,
that's
it's insane.
That. Yeah,
and also just cool that I don't know that people from Lawrence or like just Kansas in general are coming out to LA and like meeting the same people, and like we're all kind of staying connected in a way. But yeah, I DM'd him and I was like, Kansas.
That's so cool. Kansas, we up.
Yeah.
I remember when I first realized that like musicians were like, and this was back when I was in the Bay Area, but I first realized like musicians were meeting because of Above the Bridge interviews, and then like they were like working together, and that to me like that was so cool. Like, I thought that was.
I'm curating.
I was like,
I'm curating connections.
Well, it was just like the idea of community.
Yeah.
It was just like people meeting through one thing and then like being a part of something, and whether they're directly involved or like a little bit involved, or we've done one or two things with them, whatever. But like them, like just a group of people being together and like because they have similar ideals is the coolest thing to me.
Yeah, 100%.
I totally cut you off. Sorry, it was a tangent.
Oh no, you're good. There's a guy on this same tangent. There's a guy that went to not my high school in Kansas, but like the rival high school.
Okay.
And he is a beautiful vocalist, and I always would see his Instagrams. He was like famous to me because I was like, oh, he has an amazing voice. Like he's so cool. He dresses so cool. And he moved out to LA a while ago and is now like a stylist.
Wow.
And like is doing such cool things, to the point where like we still keep in touch, and now like I'll see some of my friends going on like tours and stuff, and they'll be like, I need a stylist, and I'll be like, I know a guy. I have someone for you.
Yeah.
But so Silver Lake. So I moved out with my mom freshman year of high school, did online school, and when she was looking for places to live, we went to Silver Lake.
Oh, so you moved to LA?
Yeah.
So you didn't move here for college originally?
No.
Oh.
I've been in California for a while because long story.
Okay.
We'll get into it.
Yeah, this is for long stories.
This is it's all just background context. But yeah, when my mom was looking for places to live, and Silver Lake was pretty cheap to live, so we lived like Robinson Street in like a duplex, and it was so close to the Sunset Strip, like the Rainbow Stairs, like everything. And then so I lived there my freshman year. It was kind of a blip in time.
Freshman year in college or high school?
High school.
Oh, okay.
Moved back to Kansas my sophomore year of high school. And then moved back out to LA for my senior year of high school, living in Orange County because I went to like a performing arts school in Santa Ana. And then go through college, whatever. Now I just moved to a new apartment after I graduated, and it's like streets away from where I lived freshman year, which is crazy. Because I was just driving, I was like, this pink fence like looks really familiar. Yeah. And then I drove down and I was like, yeah, that's it. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like you're like, oh yeah, like this pink fence is evoking something in me.
Literally, I was like, Robinson, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Why does that sound familiar?
That's
and then
crazy.
we'd go down the street. It was crazy.
That's so full circle. Wow.
Yeah. But now it's so much more expensive to live in Silver Lake. I
think. Have you seen like changes in the neighborhood, like opposed to when you first moved there in freshman year of high school?
100%. Yeah. I think especially on Sunset Strip, I feel like the change out of like restaurants and everything is always a big tell that time has passed, you know. But with the houses too, like they always build a bunch of my friends and I call them boxes, because they're just like really, really modern structures in these like older neighborhoods. But the house that I lived across from is exactly the same, which is awesome.
Interesting. Yeah, that was strange, like, because I mean, so much of the beginning of this interview show was like interviewing artists from San Francisco, and them talking about, because I'm not from San Francisco, I'm from Concord, but like them growing up in San Francisco and seeing like the way, because that city has like suffered from gentrification more than almost any city in the country.
Yeah.
And it's turned, like it's been turned on its head in like a matter of 10 to 15 years after the tech bubble.
Yeah.
So I guess like 20 years really. But like talking to people who are like, 25, 26, 27 even, who grew up in San Francisco, and like talking to them about how much it changed and how like their favorite local deli had become like a tech firm, or like a law company, or like they used to go to like like where their babysitter lived or something has now been, that house has been torn down. It's like there's tech buildings there, and it's so interesting to think about the way that cities change over time. But that must have been so full circle moving back there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the gentrification of Silver Lake is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
also, like
very
even
similar.
Like Virgil Village, if you've been in that area, like there's I always describe it as like like Courage Bagels or Squirrel. They're like really popular restaurants to like meet up with people, get coffee.
I'm so like I live in LA, but I feel like I'm so removed from time because I'm so buried in this.
I feel the same way. I feel like I just know a lot about like the one area that I like live by. But LA is so big. There's so many things.
It's like 9 cities in one.
It really is. Yeah. I feel like you can go like 2 blocks over and just be in a completely different area. It's insane. But yeah, the Virgil Village area, there's like these 2 restaurants that are very kind of trendy, very popular spots that people will like come from the west side to like go eat at this spot. And it always has this insane line down the block, and it's all from people that like don't live in the area.
Wow.
And it's really apparent that they don't live in the area. And then like next door is like a local shop that's like great and like awesome, and it's just the line differences are insane.
Yeah,
it's really crazy.
Yeah, that's so wild to me, because even like it, I can't imagine what it would be like as somebody who like grew up there, you know, and then like has seen it, because that's something, because where I'm from, like more or less like until the last couple years, it's more or less was the same my entire childhood. So I'm from Concord in the East Bay area, and there's like the closest like city really is like 10 minutes away. It's called Walnut Creek. And then in San Francisco really, or I guess Oakland and then San Francisco. But like Walnut Creek has become like this weird escapade for people who like are in the city, essentially like techies from SF, who like have the money to move to like a part of the East Bay because they don't want to deal with the issues in San Francisco, so they'll move to like this nicer, more gentrified part of the East Bay, and that city is just like boomed, like even since I moved, and I've been here for like a year and a quarter, but like even since I moved, I went back, and like in downtown Walnut Creek, they're building like a bowling alley now, and like all these restaurants, and it's just so nice. So it's the only time in my life I've ever like seen like a city progress, really.
Yeah, that's really insane. So when you go back, it's like everything's kind of different.
Yeah, in that small subsection specifically, but like where I'm from more so, like everything's the same, and that's kind of like another interesting thing, because it's like there in the Bay Area, wealth disparity is wild. Like there are bubbles. It's like in San Francisco, it's like you have it exists in LA as well, but like you have the ultra rich living like literally like physically on top of some of the ultra poor, and it's like a very terrible state of affairs. But the wealth disparity in the city is just crazy, and it very much was fueled by the displacement that happened in the tech industry, and like I guess that would be like the very early 2000s, like 2006 onward. Yeah. But like that time period just displaced so many people in San Francisco, and San Francisco is such a small city as well. Like very much like, I think a lot of people from like other places don't even realize like San Francisco is 7 miles wide by 7 miles long. It's very small.
Yeah.
So there's like a very, very, very limited number of housing, and they are doing a very good job building new housing.
It's so crowded there.
Yeah.
My sister recently just kind of moved into her own place.
What part does she live in?
I could not tell you.
That's so cool.
I don't know San Francisco very well because she went to Berkeley.
Oh, sick. Okay, nice.
Lived in Berkeley for a while and then moved to the city. She lived I want to say the Mission.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
But I don't actually know.
That venue right there, Brick and Mortar, is in the Mission District.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I love that area.
Shout out my sister Maddie.
Shout out sister Maddie.
But yeah, I love visiting her because I love San Francisco, but it's crazy crowded.
Yeah.
It's insane. Driving there stresses me out so much.
Yeah, it's stressful.
It makes me so upset.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I feel it.
But yeah, there's just like all the buildings are so small and so close together, and you have like 80 floors on one building, and it's insane. Everyone's just on top of each other.
Yeah, that's literally how it is. It's like everything. Like it's like it almost feels like if you jammed the city that was like triple its size into like one small part of it.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's actually crazy.
But
I feel like New York is the same way.
I've been to New York one time and I fell in love with it. Did you like New York a lot?
Well, okay, I've been to New York. I went once when I was like a kid with my family, and I hated it because it smelled bad.
It does smell bad.
But I visited when I was older to go visit a friend, and like really loved it because she showed me around and like showed me her favorite spots, and I think it's just such a different experience when you go to see someone that's lived there and like has places they can take you to versus going and not knowing anything about it. You know?
Totally.
But I've liked it the more recent times I've gone. When did you go?
I went last March.
Oh, okay.
With somebody, with somebody else from California. But like we went, didn't really know anything about it. Just figured it out. Went for 4 or 5 days, and what I fell in love with was like it's so strange. Like you can go there and literally instantly you feel the pace. Like instantly, it's like the city's engineered to move fast because it's like there's a subway system that's like ultra efficient and brings you everywhere in the city, but it's like hella cold, so nobody wants to walk slowly outside, but everybody has to walk because they're walking to the subway station. So it's like this strange grid where everything just moves a million miles a minute, and I feel like it just satisfied my ADHD brain like so
You're just
well.
Stimulated all the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. That's like how I felt about it.
There's so many different things to be doing all the time. There's so many venues of just like restaurants and stuff, and everything's open so late in the evening. So I feel like it can be 11 at night and you still have a whole night ahead of you because you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to this venue because I'm seeing this person perform, and then I'm gonna go to this restaurant, and then go out to this like gathering, whatever. And it's just you're stacked up, and then you come home and it's 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell just happened?
That's so funny that you say that because I feel like everybody I know who's been to New York a lot of times says that.
Yeah, it's insane. I just think that they just run so much later there, but you still start earlier in the morning. I just feel like people don't sleep. It's a city that never sleeps. That's literally
Like on the contrary, do you feel like LA is super different than that?
Yes. Yeah. But I think people here still move at a quick pace, but it's definitely slower than New York, I think.
Yeah.
Granted, I've only been to New York like twice. Like I have not been enough to like really analyze it, but yeah, I think LA has more of like, you know, the surfer vibe of people like wearing flip-flops and like going to the beach and stuff like that. And then in the city, you know, it's more spread out, I feel like, so it doesn't really feel as like I gotta go and everyone has to drive everywhere. So very different vibe.
Yeah, I went to Malibu the other day for the first time. I the whole time I lived here, I never been to Malibu.
How'd you like it?
It feels so much like Santa Cruz to me, but like Mario was saying, it feels like, what'd you say, it was like Santa Cruz but like older and like richer? Yeah. Santa Cruz the facelift is what it was. That's like insane. But I really liked it. I went to Winston House, the venue. I'd never been there.
I've never been to Winston House.
It's really cool.
Is it in Malibu? I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like right on the beach, really. It's like right next to the water. Yeah, it's super sick, but like I had never seen like really that part of LA, because even Santa Monica to me didn't feel that not that beachy, like that level of beach. So I guess like my version of LA is not like that because I live up here. Yeah.
Well, my mom still lives in Orange County in Seal Beach, which is like next door to Huntington Beach, which is very surfer town.
Yeah.
And then like Long Beach is more I think Seal Beach and Long Beach, that's like the cutoff for LA County and Orange County.
Yeah.
So, but like once you go south, like Laguna Beach, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, all of that, very, very beach vibes, beach towns.
Interesting.
That sort of thing. I feel like Malibu is more kind of like Nobu.
Yeah,
and, like,
totally,
you know, like,
for sure,
that vibe.
No, I feel that.
So I don't know.
No, I feel that. Yeah. Would you ever live like anywhere but LA? You think like musically? Like, would you ever move to New York or something?
I definitely want to live in New York for a period of time. I don't think that I would live there permanently.
Okay.
But I also want to live in other places. Like, I really want to live in Chicago for a period of time. I've always really wanted to live in Chicago.
Why Chicago?
I just love it there.
It's really cool.
I don't know. I just really, really enjoy it. My friend graduated from school there, and I visited her a couple times. And I don't know. I just really loved it. And it feels still close to home, like where my dad lives in Kansas. And it feels like a nice in-between of, like, New York and LA, where it's, like, a little quicker pace, but it's not so much so that I don't feel bad if I, like, stay in for the night, you know? But, yeah, I would love to live there.
I thought it was really cool, too. I only really spent, like, a night there.
Yeah.
Because I went to a show at the Metro.
Nice.
And then we just stayed overnight and looked at a few things. I saw the Bean.
Oh, yeah.
The Big Bean. The Big Bean was cool.
Yeah.
But outside that, I didn't do a ton. But yeah, I kind of do feel that. It did sort of feel like it was almost like on top of itself in a similar way to San Francisco, but not like not to the same degree.
Yeah, like people still have backyards and like that sort of vibe. I also feel like the pipeline from Lawrence, Kansas to Chicago is really strong. So like I have a lot of hometown friends that live there, and it just feels nice. Like it feels like I still have somewhat of a community there, even though I haven't really spent time developing it, you know? So, I don't know.
So tell me about Lawrence, Kansas. What's that like? Like, what's the place you grew up? I never heard of it.
Yeah, Lawrence, Kansas, it's a college town. It's where KU is.
Okay.
So that's like the Jayhawks, which I think they won the, I don't know sports very well.
The sports thing.
They won the sports thing.
Yeah, go Jayhawks.
I was March Madness, that whole like thing.
I know that.
My dad would be so disappointed. But yeah, so I grew up there. My parents are both like from there, grew up there as well. Yeah, I really loved it, honestly. I like it more now going back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think I grew up in a very musical household, so I always had like a music community there. But I definitely didn't explore it as much as I have since moving to LA.
Yeah.
And also like queer community as well. Definitely didn't really settle into that until I moved to LA. So it's nice to go back with a better sense of like who I am as a person and what I want for myself, and then just like fuck around and you know. Was it difficult to find, if I can ask about that, was it difficult to find more of a queer community out in Lawrence? Yes, I think that a lot of the friends I still have from Lawrence have come out since we have left Lawrence.
Interesting.
Some people were definitely out when I knew them there, but I feel like it wasn't as commonly spoken about. Yeah. But I definitely had, like, there was still very much a community there, but on a much quieter level.
Smaller scale. Yeah. Because, I'm sure that'd be super eye-opening, like moving out to LA and just seeing how like that level of openness is much more accepted here, much easier for people to be that way, you know? Yeah,
100%. And also the school that I went to in Santa Ana, OSHA, is a performing arts school that's like predominantly queer. Oh, okay. Like if you were straight, you were in the minority, which was a huge culture shift as well when I moved here. So not that I didn't have a community in Lawrence, but it definitely just amplified tenfold when I moved. Yeah.
That's beautiful that you can move here and really find like a community like that, though.
100%.
That's really cool. So the high school that you went to in Orange, you said it was in Orange County, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then you got here like directly after? You got to high. Oh wait, did you live in LA and commute to Orange County?
No. I'm sorry. So yeah, freshman year I did online school.
Gotcha.
Just like my Lawrence high school online. Before like COVID hit everything, so we were like using Blackboard, but we didn't have Zoom yet. You know, like it was that vibe.
I remember that period.
It was crazy. But yeah, so then I moved back my sophomore year of high school, and then moved to Orange County, junior senior year of high school.
Gotcha. Yeah. How was performing arts school online?
Well, that I didn't do online.
Oh, okay.
That was normal in person.
Gotcha.
And that was lit. USC was online.
Yeah.
Which was rough.
Yeah, when you first started it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it was like freshman year spring break, and we all thought that we were just going to get like an extra week or something.
I remember,
we were like, this is awesome. And then And then we didn't come back for a while.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember I was in like my stats class. I was still in high school. I was in my stats class, and I remember like them going on over the intercom, like the loudspeaker. I remember them being like, yeah, so like we're gonna have to extend spring break an extra week. Whatever.
Everyone's
And I remember everyone like clapping.
Awesome.
Everyone clapped.
Yeah.
And like looking back at that is so dystopian.
Awful.
Because it's like that would be in a movie. Like that would be in like a movie about COVID. Everyone's like, yeah, this is sick.
Like, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, insane. And then everyone was home and they were like, this is awful.
Yeah.
I really hate this.
Yeah.
But yeah, at USC we had like a live performance class where every week we had to go up on stage and like perform these songs live in front of our professors and our peers and stuff. And during COVID we had to shift that to an app called Acapella.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Hellscape. Like so awful, so ass. And I was living with two of my guy friends at the time, and one of my friends' phones had been microwaved, so the sound didn't work.
Microwaved?
Yes.
How does one microwave their phone?
Don't know how it
Interesting.
happened. It just happened. I think someone put it in the microwave as a prank, and then it just like really
I would feel
screwed up his
so
phone.
bad.
Yeah. So, but then he had to use my phone to like record videos for our class, and it was just it was a terrible time.
It was the whole thing.
All of it was bad.
Damn, that's crazy. I'm happy I wasn't like in like college in that period.
Yeah.
I was in community college, so like online was like whatever.
Yeah. For all of my like more academic classes, it was super chill. Even my like music theory classes, like it was totally fine.
I took music theory online during COVID.
Yeah.
I failed it.
Really?
Yeah, it was hard.
Damn.
It was hard.
I really love music theory, to be honest.
That's cool.
Or I did when I was taking it. I don't remember half of the things that I learned, but I really liked math in high school.
That makes sense.
And music theory and math, I feel like, are in a similar vein of just like formalities, you know,
Yeah,
and
for
just
sure.
like rules.
They stimulate similar parts of the brain, I feel like.
100%, yeah.
That makes sense that you're into music theory, because a lot of your music to me, like, it has like a lot of like jazzier, more key-driven elements, more synth-driven elements. When you're like writing and stuff, do you usually start with keys or acoustic guitar, or like what is kind of the beginning of a songwriting process look for you, and is it influenced by theory?
I don't know that it's influenced by theory, but I definitely like grew up studying like jazz music and
Makes
stuff.
sense. Okay.
Before I even knew like the music theory behind it, I was just like, this is a song that I'm learning and singing and doing that whole thing.
Yeah.
But songwriting process, I definitely lean towards guitar. That's kind of my like primary instrument, and then keys are always like decorated elements of the song, and doing that after. But I love to start with guitar. I love to start with words that I'm like just leaning towards, words that sound nice, like consonants and stuff, and all of that. I don't know. That's kind of where I start. It's less about like I'll have a word that pops in my head that I'll really like and I'll want to incorporate into a song, and then I'll kind of like write it down and then just kind of branch off of that, and then try to find like a story and through line and some type of like plot, and incorporate just my own life and like how I'm feeling about something, and then it all just comes together.
That's interesting that you start like based on how the word sounds, like phonetically. I've never heard that before, but it is such a big thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a big thing. I would love to take like a linguistics class and see like just the phonetics of everything. The phonetics of everything and just how it applies to songwriting, because I think it's interesting. But I've definitely been in sessions where I'll like say a word and I'm like, I don't know why, but I really feel internally that this word needs to be here.
Interesting.
And someone else could literally come back and be like, I disagree. Like, I don't think it rhymes. And I'll be like, no, but like it kind of rhymes if you say it a certain way. I don't know.
So then you go back through and you fit it in the story.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because your music also, I mean, as well as being like sort of jazzy in that vein as well, like I feel like storytelling to me is like very much like present in your music. I think that was what first attracted me to it. And also like the level of vulnerability. Like your whole EP, I felt like it correct me if I'm wrong, but like it feels like to me it takes you kind of on this like sonic journey of like breaking up with someone and like going through the emotions that was kind of what I gathered from it. But
100%.
I feel like that level of vulnerability is like really, really important in a lot of songwriters' work. And how did you kind of get to the place where you were comfortable being that vulnerable? And like, is it still difficult? Has it gotten easier?
Yeah, I think that would be just like a huge thank you to Jack Colby, honestly, because him and I met during COVID, and I had been such a big fan of his work, and I think I was playing it for a friend of mine, like I think it was Stella Brown by Jelani.
Love that song.
And I played it and I was like, oh, I love this song, like I love the production of it. And I was sitting next to one of my friends and he was like, like this is Jack, like he goes to USC. And I was like, what? And then we met and worked together and just really hit it off. And he just does such a great job at curating a space where I can come in and just vent about anything. Like, we're really great friends. He knows most of everything that's going on in my life. And so if I start writing about something, like, he knows what it's about. And he can connect it to everything else. And, we talk very openly about stuff. So I think anything that I've expressed in my storytelling that is vulnerable is a huge attribution to Jack and just, like, how he has handled me coming in and venting about my life.
Almost like a creative confidant. Like,
100%.
That is such an interesting part of being, like, not only an engineer but a producer as well, and like a co-songwriter as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just like curating a space where somebody can feel like they can be their self. Because I feel like that is so difficult to do. That's like a lot of like what I try to do, like with these. Like I always want to feel like, make people feel like as comfortable as possible when I'm talking to them. And I feel like
you're doing great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, like I feel like making that space, curating that space at a certain point, it's not even it's so like you can't think about how you feel in the moment.
Yeah.
It's about like thinking about how the other person feels in the moment and like trying
100%.
to figure out the way that like you can dissect what's happening in their brain, but not in a way that feels like prying.
Yeah.
And not in a way where it feels like you're trying to dig into the details and grasp them and even project on your own personal experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to cross any boundaries either, but you still want to get to the story and have it be authentic to the person. And I think that's a huge part of just being a songwriter too, because as much as I love writing for my own stuff and my own music, like I love writing with other people and stuff for other people as well. And so I think that's been a huge thing that songwriters kind of know when they go into a room, is they're kind of prepared to just like mega dump about their life and also receive that. So I feel like I've had a lot of classes at USC that have talked about the connections between being a songwriter and a therapist.
Wow.
Because you just kind of like, you sit in the chair and you don't know how someone's day was before they got to the studio, but when they come in, you just have to be prepared to, like, if they need to vent, like if the traffic was bad and they need to come in and be like, oh, fuck the 405, like I hate that, and you're like, yeah, it sucks, and you talk about that, and then you can talk about like a breakup they went through, or like a crush that they have, or like you just have to be able to dialogue about any topic and then be like, okay, cool, let's write the song, and then it'll just kind of format itself because you got to know the person first,
Interesting. I've never thought about it like that.
It's really cool.
Because I there was a while when I was in college where I thought about trying to study like music therapy, which is very interesting to me. Like the psychological link between like the way in which we process emotions and the way in which we process music is so like finite and so close, which is such a fascinating thing. I wish I knew more about. I don't wish I went down that route, but like I do love that route. Like I think I would like to learn more about like music therapy and the way in which people like use music to try to get over trauma and stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know very much about it either, but I do have a lot of friends that are studying music therapy and going down that path, and I do think it's such a strong tie. I think music is such a therapeutic thing. I mean, even just in daily life, like everyone listens to music to get through whatever they're going through or to hype them up for things. My mom has a story that she was working for this job that she absolutely hated. And then she went on a walk one morning and Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson came on, and she was like, I have to quit my job. And then she went in and quit. And then just like, I don't know. I think it's funny. I don't know.
Yeah. What a crazy story, though, because that's I mean, I actually totally see how that could happen. That song is very much about, like, self-reflection and, like, admitting things to yourself that might, be tangibly difficult to change, but, like, psychologically you want to change them.
Absolutely. So she was just listening to it, and she was like, damn, like, I gotta get out of this job.
Yeah, Michael feels me, man.
Yeah, Michael knows what's going on.
That's so sick. Wow.
Yeah.
And I relate to that. Like, there's definitely songs that have, like, tangibly made me, like, make changes in my life. No Surprises by Radiohead was a big one for me.
Nice.
Sort of in that same vein.
Yeah.
Just like that. And generally, I think of all of OK Computer by Radiohead. I'm not even, like, a huge Radiohead fan, but, like, that album and more specifically that song really, really, I feel like, made me consider like my place in the world and what I want to grow into and the way that like not that I have a problem with what anybody else is doing, but like looking at other people and saying like that's not the path I want to go down.
Right.
I think No Surprises really, really, really made me realize that. It's probably the most the song's ever affected me.
Dang, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Wow,
by
Tears for Fears? Yeah.
All-time favorite song.
Love it.
Every time it comes on, it's just main character moment.
Yeah.
And it's such a hype up song.
Yeah, no, that's sick. So working with Jack, is that having like, do you pretty much only work with him as like a producer, co-songwriter, etc.? Do you work with other people, and do you kind of like having that like, this is the person I turn to role, where it's like you and him are tackling everything?
Right. Yeah. I think I definitely have worked with like a few different producers, but I like to work with the same producer for like a collection of songs. I think it helps just make everything cohesive and tie together. So Jack and I met and did like the whole Warning Signs EP, which is my debut EP.
Yeah.
And then that kind of happened, unraveled all throughout USC. And then simultaneously we had written a bunch of other songs that kind of were a continuation of that. So there's a whole second project that I've done with Jack that's kind of like a Warning Signs Part 2 that I'm really excited to release.
Yeah.
But
do you know when it comes out?
We don't have like a final date yet, but definitely soon.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. But it is really nice to work with someone so intimately and have it continue for such a long period of time, because they know everything from start to finish. And you can have like callbacks to like original songs from the first project that like you can't really do if you're working with another person. But also I think it's so valuable to work with different people, and it's really informative of what kind of production styles you like, songwriting styles, collaboration styles. So there are a lot of other friends from USC and outside of USC I've worked with that I've loved, and also have songs with that are coming out that I'm also very excited about.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like being in a band. Like when you're in a band with somebody, you don't have to like ask them like, do you like this part? Or like, you know, like, what is this about? Or things like that. Like you skip a lot of the fluff and you can really cut through to like what the song's about.
There's just like a comfort and safety there that people can be honest with you. Like if they don't like a part, they can tell you and not have you be offended. You're just like, okay, cool, and then we can work on something else, you know?
No, that's beautiful.
Like, even if I go into a session and we'll like start on some track of some type of music, and if I at some point was like, hey, you know, like I'm not really feeling this vibe, can we like completely switch it? And he'd be like, yeah, cool. Or like, hey, can we like go on a walk for a little bit, or like get coffee, because I'm just so brain dead? And he'd be like, yeah, for sure, let's go. Like very much that vibe. Like it's just nice to have someone who gets it and like isn't going to be offended if you need to leave or like take a break or something like that.
Yeah, totally. And music feels like one of the only careers where you can have that.
100%. Like, it's definitely a very odd profession to have. Yeah.
Like you can't like, if you're like a lawyer and working with like a client, and your client says like, yo, like, let's go get lunch real quick. Like,
they're like, no, we actually need to like do the thing.
We should like do this. Which is like a funnier question, where it's like music, like, I mean, you and me obviously and everybody like we're around, like makes this thing so larger than life and bigger, because it is our life and it does consume us. But like at a base level, it is kind of beautiful to have a career that like in the grand scheme of the world is a bit novel. Like you know, like have this like thing where it's like, like I love music. Like music is very center point to my life, but like if everybody stopped making music tomorrow, like the world's still gonna go on. It's not gonna be that big of a deal, you know?
I definitely think it's a fun profession. I have a friend that posted some like TikTok of her having to tell someone what she does for a living, and she's like, I just get to sing my silly songs. Like it's so fun and it's so unserious, but also something that you can still be so passionate about and like pour yourself into. But obviously, like, I'm not doing brain surgery. Like it's not a necessity, but I do think it is something that kind of leads to human connection and kind of helps build that, and is still a very important part 100%. Of the world. Like I think if everyone stopped making music tomorrow, it would just be sad.
A lot of people would be unhappy.
It would just be really quiet and like I don't know.
No, I get that. I think it's so cool too. And like on that note, like I feel like that level of like you continuing that Warning Signs EP project and like kind of doing like a second iteration of it, like that holy level of like world building is like how I think people find musicians that they're really, really attracted to and really, really stuck in their world and very like they just resonate with their music a lot. Like I think that's really cool that you're, you know, building out that second collection of songs, because I feel like it was it's so vulnerable. Like I really, really love your EP, and I feel like it hits such like a certain, like lyrically the nerves. It hits a very specific part of my brain. There was a lyric I wrote down. It was off Say You Do. It was, I'll lay under the microscope and you can pick apart my feelings. Like that, I love that lyric because it felt like,
thank you.
Yeah, it kind of was like an encapsulation of like how vulnerable you were being, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely, I have a great muse, you know? Like I love writing love songs. I love analyzing love and the different ways that you can really adore someone. And I think Say You Do is such a strong love song of just like, I'm here. Like, I feel all of these things for you, and I would let you analyze me to the depths of my soul. And if you like it, then that would be a treasure. And if not, that's also okay.
Yeah.
You know?
That's such like a beautiful, like I feel like, thing to realize though about like being that vulnerable with somebody. Yeah, because that's like what love is. It's like allowing yourself to be that vulnerable with like another human being.
Absolutely. Like I wrote that song well into my relationship. I don't know if I'd have the same guts to write it like before we were together, but yeah, it's also just fun to be like, hey, I like wrote this song about you.
Yeah.
Like, here you go, if you want to listen to it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I mean, even like if that, like, even if you're that vulnerable and like the relationship doesn't pan out for some reason, it's like even that level of vulnerability, being able to achieve that is like beautiful, I think, and like it lives on past any relationship, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, I love looking at songs and like EPs, albums, projects, what have you, as kind of time capsules of any relationship or just period of life. And I think it's so important to do that and have that. Even so, I mean, if we were to look at my like voice memos or like my notes app, like crazy. There were so many songs that will never see the light of day.
Wow.
But it's still nice for me because I can go back and listen to it and be like, oh, I remember exactly where I was in life at this point in time when I was writing this song. I remember like where I was in my room, who it was about, what was going on. And I think for me also having a terrible memory, it's very helpful to just kind of keep track of like where I was, where I am now, where I'm going, and how I've kind of grown as a person as well.
Interesting. Do you find yourself running to like your notes app or like your voice memos when like an idea comes in your head? Like do you often get like that flash of lightning?
All the time, absolutely. I'll be like, I feel like I come up with a lot of ideas when I'm driving in the car. My car is so old and the radio doesn't really work. Yeah. So I have this like Amazon like
one of the radio transmitter things. Yeah, I have that too. Yeah.
And sometimes I'll like be driving in an area where it's just all static.
Oh yeah.
So I'll just turn it off and I'll just kind of be like driving in silence, and that's when a lot of ideas will come to me because I'm just kind of filling up the space. So then I'll just have my notes app and just record like a bunch of different things. Most of the time they're really bad, but sometimes I'm like, I like that.
Sitting in silence is such a lost art.
Oh
like,
yeah, absolutely.
I feel like we're almost like everybody shies away from it, myself included, all the time.
Yeah.
Because and I really want to work on that because I feel like it is such like it's how you get to the core of yourself. Like it's how you can like dissect how you're really feeling, get to the place where it's like, wow, like I know how I feel right now. Like there's no question in my head about it. And like even if that is really bad, you can like get to the root of why it's bad and try to solve it, you know?
Absolutely. I think the amount of screens in our lives too, and social media and everything is kind of built to distract us and keep our attention on something completely unrelated to who we are as people and like our own thoughts and stuff. And another way that I've been spending more time in silence is my phone is broken and keeps dying randomly. So I'll just be off
if you
the
like
grid.
needed like directions or something.
Yeah,
and, like,
no, my friends are really mad at me because I went to a Make Out Music show the other day to see my friend Lizzie play, and I was heading home and my phone died on the way home, and I was like, nah, like I know how to get home. I'll be fine. So I started driving by myself at night, and I was on a time crunch too because I was driving home to pick up my friends to go see the new Mean Girls movie. And I drove and I like got on the freeway and I was like, okay, cool, I'm on the right freeway, that's awesome. I think I take this exit to this freeway to connect to the other freeway, whatever. So I get on a freeway exit and then I'm like, I'm so lost. Like I'm just going on the 5 north, like I am not where I need to be. So I took an exit and I had to go into an IHOP and ask one of the employees to like map home. And then I got home and all my friends were like, I'm gonna kill you if you get a new phone. But So that's like the scary end of it. But the nice part of it is that sometimes during the day I get to be kind of off the grid, and I'm just kind of forced to sit with myself and my own thoughts and entertain myself, you know.
That's beautiful. I mean, like, I
minus the like getting lost part. It's been really great.
Yeah. I wish there was a way to, like, I guess there is a way. I just don't have the self-discipline to do it. Yeah. I've always been like, I wish I could just like have my phone have the necessities on it, and it's like I say that, and like I can. Yeah. I just choose not to.
Well, yeah, it's really hard in industries where marketing yourself on those platforms is kind of a necessity too, because like, even if I don't want to be on Instagram or on TikTok or anything, like I have to post about a show I'm playing. I have to post about a song that's coming out, and I have to do it frequently because the algorithm, you know, needs frequency. And so there's all of those things where I'm just kind of like, all right, like you just kind of have to do it. But I would love to get to a point where I could like
have pass
that off to someone who's really passionate about it, because there are people that are so fascinated with marketing and all of the stats behind it, but that is not me currently.
Yeah,
so.
No, I get that. And I suppose, like, I always tried to, I went through a period where I tried to do everything on my computer, where I was like, I could just do that. That way, like, when I'm working, I'm working. When I'm not, I'm not. And then, like, as I've gotten more in the music industry, it's like that doesn't exist. Like, it's really, really hard. And I don't know. I wish there was a way. I've been trying to, like also, like I feel like even if you have it on your phone, right, and even if you say like I'm just gonna use this for like work purposes, I'm not gonna scroll, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that, whatever, I still feel like it's almost like asking like an addict to do a little bit of drugs. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like you can't have this in your pocket, like this dopamine machine in your pocket, and say like I'm only gonna use it for work. Like, I find myself picking up my phone without even thinking about it, not even comprehending that I'm doing it, and just scrolling in silence. You know?
Absolutely. I think also I've noticed myself like opening and closing the same
Oh my
app,
god, me too.
like 3 times in a row, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like what is like why am I so?
It's like a zombie.
So ingrained
like we're zombies.
into me that it's just out of habit. Like I'll just do it. But yeah, I think. Also, I don't know if you watched that one documentary that was like all of the ways social media apps like design the app to keep your attention.
No.
Like, I'm forgetting the name of it. It'll come to me. It's fine. But yeah, I think it was like talking about Instagram and how they incorporated the new like Reels feature. Yeah. So then they placed the Reels icon where the post button used to be. Okay. So then if you went to post and you were just out of habit clicking on the Reels button, it would take you to the Reels and you'd be like, no, I want to post. But then it just kind of incorporated that into your schedule, so you got used to it, you know?
What?
Yeah. So I think like app design is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
But it's just
But how do you even like mandate that? So they can't do that, you know? Like how do you
I mean, I don't think you can. It's every platform is competing for your attention at all times. So they develop all of these things to try to get you to get on their app more, like Spotify's like 2023 Wrapped, 2024 Wrapped, all of those, like even Snapchat Memories, like
these
that.
New day lists.
Yeah, all the day lists, like everything. Like it's just like more ways for you to engage with the app and keep your attention on that app as opposed to another one, you know, like it's all crazy.
And isn't it interesting how everything becomes a social media app at a certain point? Like how like Spotify is like literally a social media app now.
It is a social media app. Oh my god, I just I don't know if you've seen the like playlist in a bottle that they
What's
did.
that?
It's
I'm not on Spotify. I use Tidal, but
oh nice. Okay, okay, nice. Tidal, shout out.
Shout out to Tidal. Give me a job.
My old roommate really loves Tidal.
I don't really love it. I just feel guilty like talking to musicians for a living and like using a platform that exploits them.
Well,
I just feel guilty.
Yeah.
But I'm also thankfully like I'm not in the position where I am a musician where like, you have no choice. So.
Yeah, I could use a different platform
to stream, but like you have to put your music on Spotify. You can't not put your music on Spotify. Like,
yeah, definitely.
You know.
But I think the sound recordings on Tidal are supposed to be
hi-fi,
the best.
They're way better.
Yeah.
Like noticeably better.
Yeah.
Which I love. Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I feel like you're not losing anything from
totally.
using Tidal. But yeah, Spotify just has this playlist in a bottle where it like asks you, it's like a time capsule. It gives you question prompts and you choose a song associated with it, and then it just hides it, and then you get it in a year.
See, that's the thing though. Like that's really cool to me. Like I'd be lying if I said that wasn't sick.
I feel like it's such a double-edged sword because like I don't want to spend time on social media, but also that's awesome. Like,
that's
the fact that they
sick,
have all of those things, like the 2023 Wrapped, Spotify Wraps, like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And also it's just nice, like, I've started doing monthly playlists.
Oh, it's cool. Mario does that.
Yeah. I didn't used to. I used to have it, like, very curated on, like which emotion, but now I've just started being like, this is what I'm listening to this month.
You just add it. Yeah, as you go.
And that also is so helpful and fun for me to be like, oh, this is like, because I can scroll back and see like, oh, May 2021, like, this is what I was listening to. That's awesome.
That
like,
is
this
cool.
is a very specific time in my life and what I was enjoying, and I don't know, it's hard.
No, I feel it. And it's maybe I'm projecting here. Like, you can tell me if you don't do this. Do you ever go on an app, and I do this literally every day, I'm not gonna lie, like, and I hate that I do it, and maybe it's my ADHD or maybe it's not, whatever, but like, I'll go on an app, like, for example, if I'm like researching someone's like book for a show, or like do an interview with, or whatever, like, I'll like want to know something about them, like I'll, or for my other job too, like, I'll be like, oh, like, is this person signed, right? And I'll go and I'll look into it, and I'll like open Instagram to look at their Instagram, but then like I forget exactly that I'm doing it, and I'm just like, oh, now I'm scrolling on Reels, and I'm like, I didn't realize I'm doing it.
It literally feels like when you used to play Sims, and like you'd cancel an action, and the Sims would like walk in the room and then be like, I have nothing to do. Like, it feels like that to me every time. It happens all the time. I'm also just a very forgetful person.
Same.
So I just will open the app and I'll be like, I don't even remember what I was doing, and then I'll close the app and like go back to a different app and be like, oh, that's why I needed. Or like, even I'll open my phone, I'll pick up my phone to check the time. Literally, I don't even need to open my phone to check the time.
And I'm like, oh.
But I'll be like, oh, I have a text, and I'll go in and I'll be like, oh, I should go on Instagram or something. And it's like, it just is like clockwork. It's insane. And then I'll close my phone and be like, I don't know what the time is.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
tell you.
I didn't even go, like, I didn't get the information I needed.
Yeah,
exactly. Or like, I'll realize, like, I'll make an effort to like not go on my phone while I'm driving, but like, it's so bad. Like, I'll get a notification and I'll be like, oh. Like, I'm like, I don't even realize I'm doing it.
Yeah, I've started putting my phone, because like texting while driving
is bad.
It's so bad.
Terrible.
And all of my girlfriend too is like, don't, like, promise me that you won't. So I've started just like, I got one of those phone holders on the left side, and I'll just put my phone on do not disturb, and I'll have the maps pulled up, so then I'm engaging with just the maps.
Good.
But I still like, I'll still pull up to like switch songs and stuff on playlists, but I've gotten better at not texting while driving, which sounds like an insane thing to say. Also, like, hearing myself say that out loud, I'm like, whoa. But it is just so, your phone is such an addicting part of life, and you engage with it so much that it's so hard to be in the car and just not for like however long you need to be driving for. It's
literally a dopamine machine.
It is.
In your pocket. Like, how can you ask, like
it's insane.
That's like putting an alcoholic in a car with, like, 30 bottles of Jack, and saying, like, don't drink that. It's crazy.
It's really crazy.
It doesn't make sense. Like, I found myself at the gym this morning, like, because I have gotten a lot better about it this year, I will say, than I have in the past. And I've been trying to bring a book around with me everywhere. And in times where I just would pull my phone out and just scroll on random stuff, like, I'll try to pick up the book. And so I've been bringing a book to the gym, and like, I'll read in between sets now, where I used to just go on my phone.
That's really wow, I've been having lumps in my throat.
No, you're good.
But that's a really great practice.
Thank you.
To implement.
My friend told me about it, and it's definitely helped. It helped a lot. It's kind of like rewiring the way that I'm trying to pick up my phone a little bit. But I'm still at the early stages. Hopefully, I get better at it. But this morning, like, I realized, like, I went to go pick up like the book, and then like I picked up the book and I didn't even think about it. I just put it down and grabbed my phone and started scrolling. And literally, like, I was scrolling and I realized I was doing it. And then like I had this thought, and I was like, oh, I haven't checked my Instagram today. And then I thought about it. I was like, why do I have to?
Why do you need to?
I was like, why do I need to? Like, why do I have to check my Instagram? Or like, do you get up and the first thing you do is like open an app on your phone? Yeah, same.
It's really bad.
It's bad. I'm trying to get better about it, but I'm sure as an artist it's even more difficult, because you really need to do a certain amount of it.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, because there are apps on my phone that are really helpful to me, like voice memos, notes app, like those I use all the time. But of course, they're right next to the Instagram app or TikTok app, and like, I tried to even put them in folders, like bury the apps in folders and like put it on like a really far screen, so it'd be harder to get to. But yeah, it's just, you just get into the habit of getting to the app. It's crazy. But yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, I've been trying to read more also. My mom has this thing where she gives us a book every year for Christmas.
Oh, cool.
They're all self-help books.
Nice.
And the one that I'm reading now is called Grit. I can't remember the name of the author, but
I think I've heard of that.
the whole thing is just like hard work and like pushing yourself to do hard things. And I'm like, interesting. How applicable to not using social media.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
No, I feel that.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone through a period in your life where you read a lot?
No. I was never a big reader ever, actually, but I really enjoyed comic books. And
cool.
I really enjoyed pocket dictionaries. I used to carry pocket dictionaries around in middle school, and I don't know why. I think I was just like, I like having a bunch of words at my disposal, but I also hated fiction books. Like, I didn't like reading fiction books. But yeah, I was a big comics girly. I loved Calvin and Hobbes. I loved the Zitz comics in like the Sunday paper.
Yeah. We're building a comic book company right now.
Are you actually?
Yeah, that's what
yes.
So all the and actually, like, if this is built out when you played one of our shows, like you would have been a comic book character. So that's like what we're working on right now, is essentially like every one of our shows we're trying to build out this world that exists, and hopefully we like get to a substantial period in this process by June is the goal. But the goal is like every single show that we throw, and we want to do this monthly. We want to create this world that exists physically in your hands as a comic book. It exists on stage, and then it exists behind the stage, because we're going to animate the comic book and have it play behind the artists as they perform. But the artists are the characters in the comic book.
That's so awesome.
Thank you.
Do you know the band The Gorillas?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah.
Very similar to that.
Okay, yeah.
That's the reference like everybody pulls up.
Yeah.
So like, kind of similar. But like, the goal is like, and then like whatever the story is, essentially, like we want to like cater, or whatever the theme of the show is, rather. Yeah. We want to cater the theme of the show to that story of the comic book.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's such a fun way to engage the audience.
That's the goal.
To, like, at a show, at an event.
Thank you.
To just have something to watch also.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. And like that guy, the ATB man, he's gonna be, so he'll be the main character in all of them, and then like the supporting characters will be like the artists. And then like, so for example, for the show that you played, if we had this built out, it would have been like a show, it probably would have been like a story about like maybe like a woman in the music industry and like her trials and tribulations, how she had to deal with different discrimination in the music industry, et cetera. And in some way the ATB man would have been like a manifestation of that story. So maybe like he would have been ATB woman for that one.
Okay.
Or like for that show, that was like our 5-year anniversary show, he was like a villain, but maybe he would have been, I don't know, he would have went on some journey and found a bunch of friends.
That's so sick. Wait, so who are you? You're not the artist for this?
No, his name is Edward. Shout out to Toucan is what he goes by. Toucan. Nice. He's the GOAT. Like, he is one of my best friends. I met him when I was in high school. He went to my high school.
Nice.
But yeah, he is like the visual brain behind like all of these things.
They're awesome. I was gonna say the characters are so sick.
I love them so much. He's one of the most talented individuals I've ever met. And he's such a big part of what we do, and he's just a genius. But
that's amazing. And you guys met in high school?
You met in high school,
nice.
Yeah. And he lived like 10 minutes from my house, so I would always go over to his house. We would just like stay up late and like watch movies and just like talk about stuff. Yeah.
One of my best friends from high school is Remy Frogo, who I think you have met.
I think so, yeah.
Like a Halloween party or something.
Oh yeah, I did meet her. Yeah.
Yes, but she's also like an insane artist, and we've known each other since high school, and we live together now. And like.
Cool.
One of the coolest parts about where we live is all of the artwork on our walls is done by her.
That's
so
sick.
Anytime anyone comes over, they're like, "Oh my god, I love your art! Like, where'd you get it?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, Remy made that for like a class project. It's like on our wall."
When she was like 12.
Yeah, when she was 12, she like made the Mona Lisa.
Do you have like older pieces by her up there too? That's my favorite thing about these, is like looking from like 1 to 6. The progression is crazy.
It's crazy. I think also knowing her since high school, and like because we used to go to her galleries and stuff, and like see her artwork. That was magnificent. But also she's developed her own style so much more now. And seeing that development is just so cool.
Yeah.
So we definitely do have some old pieces up in our apartment, but then we also have like her most recent stuff, and that's just crazy because it looks like two different people made it.
Yeah, that's
like,
the coolest thing.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I feel the same way about meeting a musician earlier in their career and then seeing like the way they progress. That's the coolest thing to me.
It's awesome. It's just like growth as a human being, and finding yourself and what you like, and kind of developing your own style from what you were taught growing up, and it's so cool. And I feel that way about like the music I'm making too.
Yeah.
Like, I released a whole album on Spotify when I was like 14.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I've since taken it down.
Do you still have it though?
I have it on a CD, but I genuinely like don't know where the files are on my computer.
Yeah.
Like, it was so long ago, but that style of music, like, I still have the CD and I listened to it with my sisters most recently for the holidays, and like my voice sounds so different, my writing sounds so different, the stories are just so different. It's crazy, but it's so cool to like hear that and be like, this is like what I do now, and like here are the similarities that I still have like kept, you know, and harnessed in my songwriting process, and then everything else has changed. Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about like having physical manifestations of things in general. Like, that's why I'm so obsessed with the comic book idea, because it's like I love the idea that like somebody can have like, you know, like ATV Presents volume like 31 on the coffee table, and then someone can like walk in,
a tangible copy of where you started versus like where you're
exactly
at.
100%. It's like the manifestation of like doing the thing, but also telling the story of doing the thing. And then from an artist perspective, like I love the idea of like making these artists like into characters in this world.
Absolutely.
And like I think it is like the biggest idea of like community building that I found, which is like what my main goal is. It's like build a community around this and everything that we're doing. But like the idea that someone can like walk into someone's living room and like see like an Above the Bridge comic on their like on their coffee table and be like, oh, like that's issue 31. That's crazy because I have issue 64.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
absolutely,
and they're only available at those shows too.
Yeah, I've honestly really thought about like making a comic book as a piece of merch, like making my own thing. I don't know what it would be, what it would look like, but it's just such a like. Comic books were such a huge part of growing up, and I feel like a lot of people don't know that about me because I don't really talk about it. But like stacked shelves.
How'd you find them originally?
The comic books? I feel like honestly the Sunday paper. Like my dad would just like take out the comics and just hand them to me, and I was so obsessed with Zitz comics specifically, and so I like got a bunch of those. I got Calvin and Hobbes. I got one called Intergalactic Nemesis, which was like a huge sci-fi series, and then like got to go to a some event where the characters were like reading it, and then they had like a Foley artist kind of like making all the sound effects and stuff. That was really cool. Got into Captain Underpants too. Those classic, you know. But yeah, I wasn't a big reader except for comic books.
That's so cool.
Now I don't know. I feel like it'd be fun to just like sketch my own.
Totally. That would be that'd be so sick.
Or like even like a zine or something. Yeah. Like I don't know.
I love zines.
I think it's just such a fun way to connect the two industries, because I feel like art and music are so intertwined.
Yeah, they're so hand in hand.
Also like cover art and like
100%.
videos, everything.
Yeah, I had this realization recently when I was thinking about this comic book idea where like I never got into anime, but like I think anime and comic books are like one and the same in a lot of ways, because I feel like there aren't a lot of art forms where like the worlds you can build out are like entirely endless. Yeah. But like anime is a really good example of one of those. Yeah. Like they're just TV shows that never end. Yeah. Like they have like I think it's One Piece is the one that has like thousands and thousands and thousands of episodes, and like doing like a world like that through a comic book I think is so exciting to me, because it's like it just can exist forever. It never has to end, you know.
There's an anime show that one of my friends used to watch all the time. I think it was called like Titans something.
Attack on Titan?
Yes. And that show is so extensive. That world is so deep, and the characters and everything, and like I think I came in on a really he'd been watching forever. Yeah. And I came in and I was like, what's going on? And he was like, I can't even explain it to you. Like, it goes so far back. Like, I can't believe you would even ask me that sort of thing. But I was just like, all right, okay. But it goes back so far. Like
so much lore.
So much lore.
I watched the first 2 episodes and then I never revisited it, even though I loved them. I just like, I'm not a watcher. Like I'm bad at like I don't know. Like Mario knows this about me. Like they've been like slowly getting me to but all my roommates have kind of slowly been getting me like into movies more and more, and I've been enjoying it. But like I don't know if it's my attention span or like that little voice in my head. But like I don't know. Like sitting down and watching is difficult to me. I'm trying to get better at it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I definitely feel that. Yeah, I think movies are the one thing I have a really hard time sticking with TV shows and like finishing them. Like I feel like I've started a lot. My friends are really into Vampire Diaries, and they tried to get me into it, and I was like, oh, this is great, like I'm into it, but I just like I probably won't continue watching it. But movies are doable for me because I'm like, okay, I'm starting this and I can finish this in the same setting, and then it's done. You know?
Yeah, it's almost like a very nice, like, tight-knit, like, it has a bow on it. Like, you begin the story, and then you end it.
Yes, for this amount of time, this is what I'm consuming.
Yeah.
And I can do that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
But I definitely get, especially with movies that have kind of a slower plot. Like, I would say, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie About Time. Love it. Super slow movie. I've tried to make my friends watch it, and none of them can get through it, but it's, like, one of my favorite movies.
What's it about?
It's okay. Essentially,
can I explain it real quick? I'm gonna reformat this card for 2 seconds.
Yeah, you're good. Essentially, this guy is a time traveler, and he it just follows his story throughout his life of him, kind of like going through a day, maybe making a choice that wasn't great, and like going through the day again, so he's not embarrassed or something, and then he finds this girl and like replays the days to try to like make sure that he gets to meet her, because he keeps like, I don't know, I'm doing a bad job of explaining it, but it's a great movie. It's very cute.
What was it called again, you said?
About Time. But it's very slow and kind of hard to watch and kind of sad at the end, but it's a great movie.
Yeah, but and then one other thing I want to ask you about on the note, because you and me met originally because you played that show.
Yes.
And I loved your live performance. It was really, really sick.
Thank you.
Of course, yeah. And then so I wanted to ask, how did you when did you first perform live? What was like your history performing live? And then how did you get comfortable on stage? And also like performing with a band. Like, have you always performed with a band, or how'd you build your band out?
Okay, this is a great question. I started performing live when I was really, really young. So in Lawrence, Kansas, I was taking music lessons at this like music school, and my piano teacher, who was like a middle-aged man, he had a band. Cool. And I was taking piano lessons with him, but he knew that I could sing. I was probably 11 at the time, and he was like, "Why don't you come like sit in with me and my band and like sing a couple songs with us?" Whoa. Like some of the songs that you've been learning.
It was just like a local
just like a local bar or something. And like I was 11. It was definitely like a 21 and up gig, but they were like, "Oh, like cute little kid, like you can come in, sure, whatever." So that was kind of my first experience, and I dressed in my like nicest outfit and showed up, and everyone was wearing like flannels and jeans and like very, very casual. And I remember performing my like little songs, whatever, and then the chefs in the back were like, "You did so good, like here's a burger on the house, like, you did so good." I was like, "This is awesome."
Like, I get free food out of this. This is sick. Free food,
let's go. So I started like singing more regularly with my piano teacher's band, and then I got to high school and was kind of like, I want to play my own stuff, like some of the stuff that I've been listening to of like the Kooks or like Justin Bieber or like
two very different influences. Wow.
But just like playing some of the stuff that I would like listen to with my friends. So then I started playing solo shows, just like acoustic guitar and myself, and then kind of would like play with some of the people that I'd played with in the previous band. So it was like me and a bunch of like older men behind me playing.
That's crazy.
Then it was definitely a very weird vibe, but it was
How
great.
old were you?
I was probably like 12, 13.
So it was like 12, 13-year-old girl and like a bunch of older men.
40-year-old man in the back.
That's
and like
crazy
it was
visual.
Awesome. It was great. I think my dad posted like YouTube videos of it somewhere on the internet. But yeah, so that's kind of how it all started. And then I tried to like kind of start bands in high school, and then came to OSHA, the Performing Arts High School, and there they just kind of like place you into bands. And then same thing at USC, like they place you into bands. So a lot of the people I play with now are people I met freshman year.
Oh, wow.
And have been playing with since then. But USC, the pop music program, does such a good job of providing you a network of really, really talented individuals that you can kind of just text and be like, "Hey, are you free this weekend?" And if not, like I could text someone else in the same like group chat, you know? So
that's really cool and very valuable.
Yeah, very, very valuable. But that's kind of how it's like developed, I guess. So now I'm actually playing a show on February 5th, like a little like backyard show, and I'm playing with just like a couple friends that I've met throughout the years and played with before.
Cool.
And, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fun. It's my performance has seen many phases of life. Yeah.
What do you think, like, how do you feel like it's progressed the most? And, like, what is your biggest focus? What do you think is the most important thing about your live performance, and what do you focus on?
As far as just, like song choice, or, like...
Just, like, whatever you think is like, I guess a better way to phrase that question. What do you think most people get wrong about live performances? Like, what do you think you stress the most when you look at your live performance?
I always want to play with people that I feel comfortable with. Mm-hmm. Both in, like, a rehearsal space and also in the actual performance itself. Because if I'm nervous or stressed about something, I'm not going to perform well. Yeah. And I'm not probably going to have a good time also if I'm just, like, stressed the whole time. So I feel like I've played with a lot of the same people that kind of, like, know the songs. Mm-hmm. And, like, when we have rehearsals, we're kind of just, like, running through it and being like, okay, cool, it's still the same. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. I don't know if I feel like anyone's gotten anything, like, wrong in their live performances, because I don't, like, I'm still figuring it out and figuring out what's comfortable, and I think it's also just very dependent on the person, like, what you like. I definitely think I lean towards more of a chill kind of vibey set where I could be, like, sitting on a stool and, like, playing acoustic guitar, or, like, something more chill. But I don't know. I'm not sure.
It must help a lot to, like, be playing with those people that you met in school too, because then you kind of know that, like, you have at least one thing in common, you know. It's like that you both go to USC, and you kind of relate on that fact, then everything else is built off it. That's really cool. They place you in, like, situations like that, because I feel like finding a band is hard. It's a problem for a lot of people.
Definitely, absolutely. I think there was also an experience. I saw a lot of people that weren't in the pop program that were trying to start bands, and, like, just didn't know who to ask, which is so stressful. And I feel really fortunate that I have not been in that position. But I also love being in the position where I can refer people to other people. You know, like, if someone's like, oh, I'm looking for a bassist, and I'm like, cool, I know, like, some really great bassists that are available and, like, can play with you, and it's nice to be that connector as well.
Almost like the glue, like, that brings everybody together. Do you feel like, in terms of the things that you learned at USC, do you feel like you apply those to what you're doing a lot as well?
100%.
So are you, like, was it overall a good thing for you, music school? Like, was it a good experience?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, it's very hit or miss. Like, some people had a great experience, some people didn't, and I think that's dependent on, like, the classes you're taking, what you're doing in the program, like, what your focus is, and who you meet there as well. But I feel very fortunate to have had a good experience, and my teachers are great, and my cohort I love. I'm still in pretty good touch with, like, most everyone. And I just think the people I met in that program I'll definitely have in my life forever, you know. I
feel like the network thing gives you such a leg up. Like, that is such
huge. It's huge. It's crazy, like, being in the industry, and, like, everyone is connected in one way or another, between, like, it might be one or two people removed from someone else. It's crazy. And I had, like, I hosted like, a really small dinner party last night with just, like, some of my friends, and it was so weird because I invited people from completely different spheres of life, and they somehow still knew each other. Like, I became friends with this one person that, like, randomly went to high school with my roommate in Connecticut, like, random. So I don't know, I think it's just fun to have all of those relationships, and then kind of discover later that they're all connected, and then also being someone that's able to, like, connect two people that don't know each other, and then that's how they know each other, and then it'll move forward, you know.
It's such an Ellie thing too, like, it's so true. Like, I really feel that, like, I do think you're 1 or 2 degrees away from, like, a ton of, like, people, you know.
It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. Like, even, like, I feel like a lot of celebrities too, like, you're almost always just, like, 1 or 2 people off. Like, I don't know.
That's so true. Funny. Even, like, the people that I feel like are that I was friends with a lot, like, a lot of them moved here, a lot of them didn't, but, like, even a lot of the people that I'm around very often, like, went to my high school, like, down here, like, even I'm not from here, but, like, I talked to, like, a lot of people who were like, like, the group that you're in, like, you guys are, like, it seems like you all went to high school together, which is really cool. But, like, I feel like most of my friends here are people who are, like, from where I'm from, and that's, like, you know, it's cool and it's not, but it's like, I feel like it's so easy to, like, just eventually accumulate this network to where you, like, if you know enough people, one of those people will know the person that you're trying to get to know, you know. It's strange. So you're always, like, only a few people apart, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you get out of USC. when did you start like releasing things seriously, like this new iteration of stuff after the stuff when you were really young?
Yeah.
Like this new iteration of stuff, when did you start putting that out?
I think I started putting that out my senior year of college, like the stuff with Jack. I think I started putting it out my senior year of college, and then like after I kind of had like an EP release like event and like did that whole thing. And yeah, but I had released music my freshman year of college as well, and I think I kind of got to a point where I was doing school and music and also like working a few different part-time jobs because living in LA is expensive.
Yeah, totally.
And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to take this time to kind of put my head down and learn as much as I can, meet as many people as I can, and kind of do it. But all the while I was still making music with Jack. I just wasn't doing the like marketing and release part of it. I kind of wanted to just wait until after I'd kind of finished school and like felt really confident about the stuff I was putting out. So then senior year rolled around and Jack and I were like, all right, time to let it fly, like do the thing. So we started releasing like a couple singles there. I got to do like a songwriting camp and was like posting about it while I was like in Massachusetts, which was fun, and then released the EP, and yeah, now I'm just like finishing up all the stuff on the second iteration.
So you almost held like all this stuff in because you wanted to get to a place where like it could be the best that it could be before you released it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so smart.
And also like get to a point where I had a bunch of stuff so it could just be kind of like the snowball at the top of the hill and just like keep progressing, you know.
Wow.
I didn't want to because that's how I'd felt at freshman year when I had released like Clueless, Perfect Playlist, Partly, like those songs, Live Cinema. I released them and then it kind of felt like a halt because I had a lot of time to like really collaborate with other people. I was still meeting people that I didn't know, you know. So yeah, I just kind of spent all my time at school meeting people, working on stuff, figuring out what I liked in my songwriting process, and met Jack and like fell in love with the way we worked together. And so just really stuck with that, and we would just meet and write songs and started all of these little ideas, and I was like, oh, there's something here that we can like really grow here. So yeah,
that's such a smart, calculated way to do it. I'm talking to one of our artists right now that he has no music out, but he's just immensely talented. But I've kind of been trying to explain to him that, like, dude, like, you having no music out is like your biggest resource. Like, that's huge. Like, you only get to launch your artist project officially like one time, and if you can manage to like accumulate traction right off the rip, like you can really, really leverage it into some interesting positions.
Yeah, it's also insane because like I feel like you get the most attention when you're
100%
breaking out your first
100%.
kind of project. But then if you do that and you don't have anything to follow it, people are like, they don't want to wait, you know? So I think it's good to build your whole rep and then release, and then just like keep releasing, you know.
Were there people you looked at who who like didn't do that inspired you to do it, or where do you think this mindset came from, like of like kind of launching everything, you know, in one calculated release plan? Like, where did you go to get that idea?
I feel like I've had a lot of friends. One of my good friends, Jacob, who writes music, that I initially was just such a fan of him, and I like DM'd him on Instagram, and then he was like, oh, we should like write together. And we like did a Zoom session, and I was fangirling the whole time. But then we just became friends, and I got to see something that he did was he would just like release a song I don't know if it was every week or every month or something, but he was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna write a song and I'm just gonna put it out, and this whole kind of experiment is just for me to get better. Like I'm not gonna put so much pressure on each thing. I'm just gonna write it, create it, produce it, release it, and then move on to the next. And I think that was such a fun thing to witness because you could really hear the differences in his growth, like from the first thing he released to the most recent. Like, I think it's such a good practice also to not be so precious about your work. I think I can't remember who I heard say this, but I feel like I've heard someone say like it's an incredible disservice to the world to keep your art to yourself. I don't know who said that, but I think there's something so beautiful in that sentiment. Like, when you write a song and you just keep it to yourself, no one else gets to hear it or connect with it. And I think the practice of just like releasing everything you're writing is so cool to see, and something you don't see. I feel like a lot of people kind of just like take a lot of time because they want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
Being myself included, like I'm a bit of a perfectionist in that sense, but I think there's something so great about just releasing it where it's at and then just going on to the next thing.
That's why I love when people don't release or delete their old music.
Yeah.
Like, and you like that's one of my favorite things. Like, I totally, from a marketing perspective, understand why people do it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. But simultaneously, like, I really, really like, my guilty pleasure is to really go back into like the back catalog of an artist and see the way that they've grown through the years. That's so exciting to me.
100%. Yeah. I agree. I definitely did delete a bunch of stuff from my artist page, but I do really love going back to artists that I've listened to forever and going back to the first song. Tori Kelly, oddly enough,
Tori Kelly's great.
She's insane. Her voice is insane. But I fell in love with her music when she was on Vine and like was putting out like Rocket or like Dear No One and like stuff like that. And now she has stuff like Shelter, which is so different from her original stuff. But she's still her. Like, you can still hear her consistently in both. But it's such a fun change to see.
It's like a journey you go on.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like on the note of not, just like, or having the courage to release things frequently. It's almost like the idea, like the saying, like, don't kill your darlings.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Like, kill your darlings is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
But it's like, you kind of have to kill your darlings at a certain point.
Yeah.
Like, if you're super, super attached to one song or one project and like that is everything forever, you'll never move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
and getting stagnant,
absolutely.
I feel like, is such a problem that so many musicians run into.
Because you just get stuck, and you don't want to get stuck. You want to just like share what you have, because I think also we're our own biggest critics, and I think as soon as you hand it off to someone else, they can just be like, oh, I love this. This is great. Like, I feel like a lot of the music, I spent so much time on the development of it that by the time it came to release it, I was like, I kind of hate this song now. Like, I've listened to it so many times. But then I released it, and people were like, oh, I love this. And I was like, oh, cool. Like,
because it's new to them.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I remember why I liked it in the first place.
Yeah, it's difficult sometimes to get, I feel like, to get that outside perspective.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like if you listen to, like if you listen to a song, didn't really hit, and then you listen to it in the car.
Yep.
And you're like, oh,
Absolutely. Or you listen to it once, and you're like, and you listen to it again, and you're like, oh,
this is crazy. Now I get it.
This is good. This is good.
Sometimes you have to, like, there has to be lived experience in between, or it's about where you are in the moment.
Yeah.
But like, sometimes songs just need a second to grow on you, I feel like.
Absolutely. Or like, I feel like when I watch movies and I hear a song in a movie, I love it. And then I listen to it after the fact, and I'm like, wow, like this is I don't know, I can see the movie when I listen to it. But like,
I'll do the opposite, I think.
Really?
Like, I'll find a song from like a movie or TV show, and then I go back and I listen to the actual song, and it's like, maybe I just loved that one part of the pre-chorus that like was matched with this certain visual, and then I'll go back and I'm like, it's the entirety. It's like,
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I think like the Barbie movie, there was a Billie Eilish song, and I listened to it before I saw the movie, and I was like, like, okay. And then I watched the movie, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like, it fits so well. This is such a turning point.
Yeah.
Like, and then I would listen to it after and be like, no, I like this. This is good.
No, I get that.
So I feel like the movie, like, adding some kind of experience, lived experience to it is also important.
I have a friend who like swears by the power of musical theater. He always talks about how it's like the quintessential, like, most pivotal, like form of art.
Yeah.
Because he says like it is the only place where like drama and then film and then music collide into one thing.
Absolutely.
And I'm not really into musical theater. Like, I've never really gotten into it, but like I really have always resonated with that opinion. Like, oh yeah, like that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So many of my friends are obsessed with musical theater.
Yeah.
And when I went to New York with my family as a kid, I got to see Wicked on Broadway.
Wow.
And genuinely, I was floored. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, this is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. The music, the vocals, the performance, acting, everything, the set design. I was so floored by it. And even now, like, one of my friends, Zoe, is such a musical theater girl, but such a STEM person. Like, she's so smart, and like, you would not be able to know that she is a musical theater nerd, but she so is. And she just like knows every single word to all of the Hamilton songs, and it's insane. She'll just bust it out at any moment.
I was like Nolan the other day. My friend Nolan, he's like this, like, he's one of the funniest guys I know. My friend Nolan, he was in here the other day, and Mario, as a joke, like, asked him like, you did theater in high school, didn't you, bro? And then like, he point blank looked at him and says like, yes. And then he starts reciting entire lyrical passages from Hamilton, and we were all just like,
that's such a flex. That's crazy.
I was like, what?
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I had no idea. It was so funny.
It's so amazing. Sometimes I'll like joke in like a musical theater voice, or like even like Disney movies, because I feel like it's a very similar vein of like vocal performance, but it's so fun.
But it is fun,
so fun.
That's the thing about it. Like, it's silly. It's fun. Like, it is. It's dramatized. Yeah. That's what it is. You know.
People love the drama.
Yeah.
We need the drama.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So you put out music your senior year.
Yeah.
You finally get in this mode where you're kind of like releasing the stuff that you want to release.
Yeah.
When do you start to see traction? Like, what hits, what doesn't? Like, when do you start to see some numbers accumulating behind what you were doing and accumulating some fans?
Yeah, it's honestly so random, the success that I've seen from the music I've released. I think like, especially with the older stuff, like for instance, I have a song called Live Cinema. And that song is old. Like, I wrote that in high school.
Yeah.
Released it, like, freshman year of college. And it didn't do that well when I first released it. And randomly, when Lizzie McAlpine had her kind of viralness with the song Ceilings, somehow Spotify linked Live Cinema to one of the, like, Lizzie McAlpine radio playlists.
What the hell?
And when you would play through it at the end, Live Cinema would come up. So now
I can see that though.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But now Live Cinema is almost at like 5 million streams or something, which is absolutely absurd.
And it was like,
I didn't
from
notice. I genuinely didn't notice. And then someone, because people would text me and be like, "Oh, I was on like Pancakes for Dinner radio, and like Live Cinema came up," and I was like, "That's ridiculous."
Yeah.
Like, what? But yeah, so that's it. The success I've seen from the songs I've released and like the fan base that's come from it has been so random and out of the blue. And I think it's always the songs that you least expect for some reason. Like Live Cinema is like a piano ballad, but people enjoy it and are listening to it.
Interesting.
Which is crazy. And like the stuff I've done with Jack, like we have this song called Glances that Jack and I in the studio as we were making it, we're like, this is for us. Like, this is a throwaway song. Like, this one's not going to be the like hit of the project, whatever. Like, it's whatever to us. And then we released it and that one has like the most streams on it or something. It's ridiculous. It's so random. And I feel like even the like TikToks I've posted about them.
Have they done well?
Yeah. I feel like I don't post on TikTok nearly as well as I need to be.
It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely like people will comment and engage with it, and they'll go to my Instagram and be like, I saw your video on TikTok and I love your song Glances, or like I love your song Massive Hard Eyes, which is like an intro track with a bunch of like vocal edits, and it's like
really
half of a real song, you know?
Not to like go off on a tangent with that song, but I love that song. Like in the context of the project, like it's only like like a minute and 10 seconds or whatever,
like
but it's
super
like
short.
But it just like it really sets the stage like well. I feel like sonically like for the project, like there's a bunch of like weird atmospheric synths and everything, and it feels like you're almost like opening like a book to like the rest of the EP.
Absolutely, yeah. Jack's atmospheric sounds are like his specialty. He's so good at it. And yeah, Massive Hard Eyes is a song that I wrote during COVID. Like, I think it might be the oldest one on the project. Also, like when I was in high school. Or not high school, sorry. This was like COVID college, not COVID in high school. My bad. But yeah, I wrote that song, and I was like, I really want to have a bunch of voices that mean a lot to me in this kind of intro track. So I pulled like videos of me and my friends hanging out. I pulled up like a voicemail from my dad, a voicemail from my mom, like random sounds. I got like a singing happy birthday to my roommate Becca, like got all of this stuff and just kind of threw it in. And I think Massive Hard Eyes is probably one of my favorites on the project, personally. But I didn't think it was gonna do well in any regard.
Has it?
It's definitely gotten up there. Like,
cool.
I think Glances and Massive Hard Eyes might be the most streams currently.
It's so short.
But maybe not when it like first came out. I think it might have been like the singles of like After You Go, Say You Do, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like recently with the EP, those two have done well. Which is just insane.
Yeah. It's so interesting how like success can come in funny ways that we don't expect it to. Like, you really, really, really never know. And this is like another reason what you were saying, just put music out.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Be proud of it, of course.
Yes.
But like also like it is a disservice to hold your art from the world to a certain point, because you just never know.
Yeah, especially the songs that you make and you're like, like no one's gonna like this.
Yeah.
Like, you like it enough to have made it a certain way, and like you made those choices for a reason, and you never know who's gonna connect with it or have it mean something to them, you know. So I agree. I think just like putting it out. But yeah, I mean, there are so many songs that me and Jack will be like, this is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, yeah, but we're gonna put it out.
Yeah.
Like, this is for us. This is like ours.
Do you ever fret about it or fear about it? Like, because that is something, like, personally, like, I'm very lucky. I've never really struggled with that. Like, I've always been it's been very easy to throw things at the wall for me, and I've never really, like, been afraid of how they were perceived, what people thought of them. I don't know why or how it is, but I've never really been afraid of that.
Yeah.
When you were starting to put out music, was that ever a fear? Like
absolutely. Yeah. I think, like, one of the most vivid memories I have from when I, like, first released, I, like, put this is the project I, like, took off my Spotify, but I released this song called Luna, and Luna...
That's a great name. I love that. Wow.
Luna, the song Luna, was about a girl that I had liked, and I wasn't really publicly out, but I still wrote this, like, love song about a girl and used the alias Luna, because Luna is moon in Spanish, and I was like, I'll just, if anyone asks, say it's about the moon.
Yeah.
And
got him.
I was like, got him. No one's gonna know. How would they know? And my soccer coach came up to me in the hallways in my, like, Kansas high school and was like, hey, like, I really like your song Luna. And I was like, hey, thanks. And he was like, what's it about? And I was like, oh, you know, like, Luna is Spanish for moon, like, it's about the moon. And he was like, interesting, it's about the moon? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, well, I really like the song. And I was like, thanks. And I walked away. And he so knew.
What?
But that was him just being like, I see you, and, like, you're good, sort of thing.
That's really cool. Wow.
But, like, that was that's, like, the most vivid memory I have of, like, putting something out and being so nervous about it. And then someone kind of being like, hey, like, you're good, you're chilling, sort of thing. And now, like...
That is so sweet. Wow. It was so sweet.
Yeah. I still keep in touch with it. I literally texted him, like, a week ago or something like that. But he's awesome. But, yeah, so even now, like, some of the stuff I write with Jack, like, we'll make it and be like, oh, this might not have, like, a commercial push or, like, really, like, purpose. Yeah. But we like it. And, like, it's important to you because it tells this part of the story and, like, you want to include it. And I think that's really important, like, when you feel that, because, you know, same with, like, Glances, Massive Hard Eyes, Ceilings for Lizzie McAlpine. Like, you never know what's going to do well, and I think you just got to put it out if you want to. Again, like, be proud of it, but just, like, let it be. And
there really is something to be said about, like, you enjoying a song and that being a sign that like somebody else would enjoy it, even if you don't think they would. Yeah. My roommate Monet, he always says this thing it sticks with me a lot. He always says, like, if you keep going back to a song, it's probably a sign that you should finish it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, like, I agree completely.
Like, you kind of gotta trust your brain before you, like, start guessing what other people will think about it. You know.
100%. I've had so many, like, notes in my phone, like, because I love, like, I have so many different notes pages and voice memos that I never titled. Like, they're just all gibberish, like, random stuff. Yeah. And I love going back through them and being like, oh, I was kind of onto something when I had this line idea, or like, oh, I remember what I was trying to communicate this, and I think that's still really valuable. Or, like, even going back to super old demos, being like, I still love this song. Like, yeah. I think the performance of this is great and the production is awesome, and, like, I want to release it. I think also it's, with that, I think it can sometimes get tricky when you write a song that's not for you, if that makes sense. Like, I have written so many like, folk songs, folk borderline country songs, and I don't.
Do you listen to that music?
I don't. Like, I really don't. And I don't perform country music. I listen to folk, but, like, I don't really perform that. And that's not something I've ever been like, yeah, like, I want to be, like, a folk artist or, like, a country artist, because I don't.
Can I make a assumption?
Yeah.
I feel like that genre is so driven in storytelling.
Yes.
That like at a certain point, if you're storytelling and you write on acoustic guitar, and a lot of your stuff is more like, like very more like mellow instrumentally driven, like it just starts to transpire to that. I feel like.
Absolutely. But I also feel like I have some really weird like rejection of that for myself personally. I have so much respect for the storytelling in country music, and like I love listening to folk music, but that's never been a path that I like wanted for myself. Yeah. So there's also been like experiences where I've been in the, but I'm also not one to like reject the momentum of a session, you know?
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
So I've been in sessions where like we've like really got a groove going, we have a song coming in together, and it's like country, and I'm like, okay, this is a country song, so we'll sing it, and I'm like, this is a great song. It's not for me, but like this is a great song. So I feel like I have a lot of those in my phone as well, where I'm like, this is a great song, but like I'm not gonna release it, like
because you don't like it, or
else. Yeah, like it doesn't feel authentic to me. It doesn't feel true to me, you know.
I'd be so interested to hear something like that. That's so fascinating. Do you, because there are people who like do make music that's in your vein, that do trend more country, and I feel like I could see that descent, you know, in your music. Or, do you know Brandy Carlisle?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I could see that. Like Casey Musgraves.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Which like Casey Musgraves is interesting to bring up too, because she's like country pop.
Yeah,
like,
country pop, folk
and
type.
And like the stuff that she writes about is very modern in a way that a lot of country music isn't. True. You know, like which song is it where she talks about like being straight or gay, if that's what you're into?
I think. Or something on Golden Hour. I don't know.
Yes, something on Golden Hour.
I like Casey Musgraves a lot.
Yeah, she's awesome. But yeah, I feel like that's a really unique kind of angle to country music that she's found, and like feels very true to her, you know. And I feel like sometimes when I write country songs, it doesn't feel like, it doesn't click with me, you know. You're
right though. There's a lot of people, even like especially like female like country folk artists, that have found that lane. Like Adrienne Lenker is she's not a country artist, but like, you know, like her sometimes Big Thief stuff like trends a bit more on down that line, especially the last record. I feel like kind of toted that line a bit more than it has the best. Lizzie does that as well.
Absolutely. Like, it's kind of like genre bending in a sense, because
Phoebe
I feel
does
like
that.
Yeah, it's people's really unique and specific backgrounds that they have, and like what you mentioned, like I don't really make jazz music, but there is some jazz elements in the stuff that I write, purely because that's what I studied growing up, and like it's not even a conscious choice I'm making, it's just what
comes out,
what's intuitive for me. And so I think that's interesting to look at, like Adrienne Lenker or like Casey Musgraves, like they're making these styles of music, but there's something like, there's a little like tinge to it.
It's them.
Like, okay, this isn't like fully in this category. It's still very uniquely you know?
Yeah. Like Phoebe at her core like writes pop music. Yeah. But like there are songs that like are more folky, like Chinese Satellite, or like absolutely. What would be another good example of this? Which one? Yeah. Honestly, all of Stranger in the Alps pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, like a lot of the songs that she writes, like they have like traditional pop structures, and like they lean a little bit folk out, like instrumentally. Yeah. But I would never like confuse Phoebe for like a country artist, because I don't even know if this is like really true, but I think there is a certain, I'll ask you about this. Do you think like there's a certain level of like personality that plays into like where you lie genre wise, in the sense that like Phoebe makes music that sometimes feels a little country, but I would never confuse her for a country artist because she doesn't feel like one, like her.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think Phoebe's interesting also because
demographic, maybe where she's from too.
Yeah, I think I consider her to be kind of like emo, indie,
like folk,
alternative, pop. Folk. Like it's all just this modge podge of different things, and I don't know. I think personality plays a huge role into that too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Mario says something, I think I quote this all the time, but he says like a good song is good in any genre. Yeah. I think that's super true.
Absolutely.
Like I think if you write good songs, good compelling songs, you write good compelling songs. And like, you know, for your case, like whether you put a seventh chord in there or not does not make it a good or bad song. It just is what happened, you know, because you grew up like a jazz background.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's so interesting how we like trend to, you know, be in different ways, but I mean,
well, I also think, sorry, not to cut
you. You're good.
I also think like the music collaborations that you inherently lean towards are a big sign to also your like background and like what you studied as well.
Totally.
Like Lindsay Lomas is doing a collaboration with Jacob Collier.
Wow.
Which
okay.
like Jacob Collier's known like musical genius, like crazy stuff, and Lindsay is so very much that too. Like
yeah.
has an insane brain and like is so creative, brilliant. And you hear that in her own music, and then you see her, she's collaborating with Jacob Collier, and you're like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, that clicks. And so I feel like it's, I don't know, there's a bunch of subgenres, and I feel like Lindsay Lomas is a good example also of like music theory artist, where like she makes pop music, she makes bangers, but there's so many like music kid like quirks of it, you know?
I mean, there's so many artists who don't do that too. Like there's so many artists who like are so concerned with like a certain level of theory being applied to their music that they like aren't good pop songwriters, like because of that. And I actually don't like, I think you can have like, I think you can be a good songwriter and not need music theory to write good songs.
Absolutely.
I don't think you can be a music theorist and not be a good songwriter and then write good songs.
Yeah.
I think the songwriting comes first more than anything.
Songwriting totally comes first, but I agree that it's not a necessity to write a good song. And I think honestly sometimes the less you know the better, because I think sometimes you can get stuck when you know so much about one thing, where like in music school you have like the pop chords that are used in every single pop song. And they're used for a reason, because they work and people love them and they're great. But then I feel like sometimes people can get stuck and be like, well, I don't want to use like what everyone else uses. I want to like do something different. So I think that's, you also get in your own way sometimes of like, oh, you have this huge music background and you know what works, but you're kind of rejecting it in a way to try to like get something more unique just because you know how to. Yeah.
And like, yes, like, you know, be unique, but like at the same time, like if like a traditional pop chord progression comes out of you, don't be like, oh, but like I have to throw a fifth on that. I have to make this different just because other people use this pop chord progression, you know? Like, I feel like the good way to say it is like, don't be different for the sake of being different.
Yeah.
Be different for the sake of it being you.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Which I think is something I really appreciate about like Lindsay Lomas's music and like Jacob Collier music is like, they are such big music kids. Yeah. And it's just inherent to them. Like there's no rejection of it. They just embrace it fully. And it's, the product of that is just this really great song. Yeah. That has like a chromatic run in it, like just random stuff kind of thrown in, and they're almost like what is it, Easter eggs, like little like gems in the song,
like for the people who know.
Like I feel like that's a thing with like there's like this jazz lick that's like a
it's like the lick is what they call it. I know.
And it's like thrown in a bunch of songs, and every time you hear it you're kind of like,
hey, the lick,
there it is, you know? Like, it's that kind of thing, which I think is just so cool to see, especially in pop music. Yeah.
A good example of this too, I think, is John Mayer.
Oh,
like John Mayer, have you by chance ever seen him play with Dead & Company?
I don't think so.
So like the playing that he does with Dead & Company is like, it's very intricate, like incredibly intricate. But
well, he's like insane.
An insane guitar player. But like, it's so interesting that he writes down to his style almost. Like, he's a great guitar player, but he's also an incredible songwriter. And he realizes that not every single song that he writes needs like a super complicated progression or like a strange, you know, finger picking pattern or like whatever it is. Like he's totally okay with like a G, E minor, F progression if it fits the song, you know?
100%, But then you can also go to songs with like Neon that's like incredibly
totally
intricate, but also still banger. You know,
that is true. That young guitar riff is crazy.
But that's another thing, is like the storytelling does come first, and like for that one, that needed that like insane guitar part. You know? And it was just inherent to him. That's like, this makes sense. This completes the puzzle, in my opinion. You know?
And what's crazy is like, this is I guess this is the record after, because Neon is Room for Squares, I think, and then this song's on the next record. But it's crazy that you can go from like Neon to like Daughters.
Like
Daughters, I think,
or like Waiting on the World. Like that vibe. Absolutely.
Like Daughters is probably my favorite John Mayer song. I just think it's such like a sweet.
It's such a good song.
It's such a sweet like sentiment.
Like
the idea of like being good to your daughter, and then, you know, in that term she becomes, in that sense she'll become a good mother, and then as a good mother, you know, bring another good son into the world. But like that whole thing to me is such a sweet way of looking at the world, and I almost feel like if the riff was incredibly intricate in that song, it might take away from the sentiment a little bit. But Neon is a great, like you said, like a great example of this, like super complicated riff, like really cool lyrics, but like it's just a great song, and he knew it would need, what the song called for.
Yeah.
Which I think is key,
Absolutely. And then you go to like New Light.
Yeah.
And it's just like a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think John Mayer is really interesting in that sense because those are two very strong aspects of his artistry, where he is an insane guitar player and also an insane songwriter. And so he kind of has that split where he'll kind of go back and forth and be like, okay, this one's like songwriting focused, guitar second. And then you can go to another one and it's like, this is more heavily guitar, songwriting, not necessarily second, but like guitar focused.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like no matter what the song is, whatever you pick, there's always something to grab,
Yeah.
Always something to grab onto.
Absolutely.
What time did you have to go?
Oh, what time is it?
11:05.
I definitely have to go.
Okay, we can wrap it up. I'll ask you one last question. I was like, I feel like she has to work at 12, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, yeah, I'll wrap it up.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even... Oh, that's kind of crazy. Time flew.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really funny. It's fine.
Hell yeah, okay.
It's fine.
My bad, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I'll ask you one more question.
Okay.
If there was one message that you could spread, just a through line message through all your music that people would take from it, what do you think that message would be?
In my own music? Oof. I think... for me specifically, I think it's been so important to find my own kind of truth in my storytelling and my songwriting. And I think my kind of like words for other people would be to just like find that for yourself and really own it. And don't try to edit it for someone else. Like really make music that you like, that's true to you, that feels authentic to you, and the rest will follow, sort of thing.
I love that.
Those are my words.
That's beautiful.
Those are my ending words.
That's beautiful. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Tell them, all right, thank you very much, Ellie. This is a blast.
I know.
Thank you
I'm so glad that we got to do this.
Me
I was
too.
so excited driving up here.
Oh, hell yeah. No,
the time flew. I did not even... I thought it was going to be like 10:30.
How long have you been going, if you had to guess?
What?
How long do you think we've been going, if you had to guess? I only ask it because I'm looking at the timer right now.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't even know. I don't know. Like, hour?
Hour 40.
Hour 40?
Yeah. Flies by.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know what we talked about. We just went in a bunch of different areas.
That's the experience. Well, thank you very much. That was a blast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Tell them real quick where they can follow you, they can stream your stuff, where they can do all the things.
You can, can I do it to this one? Okay. Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at Ellie, Williams, and on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, anywhere. You can just find me as Ellie Williams. And yeah.
All right. Cheers, my friend. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. All right. Music matters. Boom.